Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a reread review of Helter Skelter Fashion Unfriendly. This is by Kyoko Okazaki. This will be the first time that I am reviewing something on my channel that I have actually already reviewed before, because this was one of the first things I ever reviewed on my channel years ago. I got it from the library and did a video on it, but I know, even without rewatching that video, that I was very confused. I enjoyed this, but a lot of the characters look very similar, and I know that I was confused because two characters in particular look very, very similar, and I couldn't understand what was happening. Now that I've reread this, I understand what happened. So I wanted to give an updated review of this, and now that I've read it twice, I have a better understanding of what went on and my feelings about it. So, this is a very unsettling story about this girl on the cover whose name I do not remember. Liliko, that's her name. There she is there. She is the most popular fashion model slash actress, I think, as well. Basically idol sort of person in Japan when this story is happening. She is beautiful. Everybody wants to be her and date her and know her and whatever. But she has a secret. She has undergone full body plastic surgery to look the way that she does. And it's at a clinic that requires, because of their kind of sketchy practices, requires her to go back and get kind of maintenance very often, because if you do not upkeep this full body surgical situation, she will deteriorate physically and, start getting side effects that are very grotesque looking. Basically, she just got paid a bunch of money, or the industry or the agent she has paid a bunch of money to completely destroy her whole body. And so it's kind of like a race against time for her to get so popular and try and work as much as possible before her body just gives out, due to the intense stuff that she's put it through. But it's also, not only is she physically deteriorating, she is emotionally, psychologically, and mentally deteriorating before everybody's eyes. And it is a very sad and disturbing story about this woman who is just so unstable, being thrust into the spotlight and not really knowing how to handle it. And so she mistreats and abuses her hairstylist, her makeup stylist, her assistant in particular. She messes up all relationships that she has around her. And basically, it's the story of her in the fashion world and her very fleeting, short-lived fame. And then the world moves on to some other pretty young thing, and she doesn't know how to handle that. So it's kind of interesting because you follow the perspective of her. You also follow the perspective of a news reporter, and he is kind of covering the story of her unraveling, and in a past tense. So it's him kind of going over what happened to Liliko. How did she become famous, and why did things go the way they did? And so you get that kind of future situation where he's reporting on what happened, as well as kind of being in the past, technically, from Liliko and her assistant's perspective of what was happening in the moment. so that was what confused me the first time I read it. I didn't understand that it was kind of like a time jump that was happening, and I didn't understand the assistant and the news reporter. The assistant is a woman, and the news reporter is a man. They look identical, and I couldn't tell them apart, so I didn't understand that they were two different people, and I was very confused. The second time I read it, I understood they're different people, completely unrelated, and so that allowed me to understand the story better. But yeah, it is an 18 plus story. It has some pretty explicit sex scenes in it, as well as some pretty explicit sexual abuse. So that is something to keep in mind. But I'm trying to find not explicit pages. It's not like a ton of explicitness. It's just happened to be that I'm flipping to a bunch of pages where she's naked. The art is very particular. Kyoko Okazaki is a josei mangaka, and the other title we have is Pink, which I believe I've also reviewed on my channel. I also really enjoyed. But yeah, it's very particular art. There are some really nice color pages in the beginning as well, but yeah, it's very unsettling, which is the point. It's kind of a look at the fashion industry and the way it kind of chews up and spits out these girls once they're no longer of use to the industry. And it's a look at how psychologically damaging it is to these young women who, are told, oh yeah, no, we'll just, you get a boob job, you get, a nose job, we'll go and pay for all your surgeries and whatever so that you look pretty. And then as soon as it goes awry and there's no, the person isn't of use anymore, you just throw them to the wayside and pick a new girl to thrust into the spotlight. And yeah, it's an interesting commentary on the industry and a very unsettling tale of this woman just unraveling psychologically and physically. But very good. I've now read it twice. It's one that I don't want to reread very often because it is so, it doesn't leave you feeling good. It gives you kind of an unsettled feeling in the pit of your stomach, and you just feel bad for these people. But it's one that I think is important, and I think that I'll for sure read it again, but I had a couple years in between readings, and I'll probably wait a couple years before I pick this up again. Yeah, these are not likable people, to say the least. So if you've read Helter Skelter Fashion Unfriendly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've read any other josei titles that you'd like to recommend to me, please do. I do, like I mentioned, I've reviewed her other title, Pink, as well as In Clothes Called Fat. I can't remember the mangaka's name off the top of my head right now, but that one is very similar vibe to this as well. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching.